Constantine 2 isn't just another sequel about demons and exorcisms,
It's shaping up to be a story about breaking a system that was never meant to be touched.
because hell in the Constantine universe isn't chaos. It's order, rules, balance, contracts, debts.
And boundaries that even demons are forced to obey. Souls aren't taken by force. They're claimed through loopholes, agreements, and technicalities, and John Constantine has always survived by exploiting those cracks.
Not by winning fights, but by understanding the rules better than hell itself. However, this time, the rumors point to something far more dangerous, because Constantine 2 isn't about escaping hell again.
It's about what happens when Constantine realizes that the rules themselves can be rewritten. Not bent, not twisted, but broken entirely. And that idea alone would make him more threatening than any demon prince or fallen angel. The key theory is simple but terrifying.
Constantine doesn't fight hell in the sequel, he exposes it.
He discovers that the balance between heaven and hell is enforced by an ancient framework that depends on one thing: consent. Every soul that falls does so because at some point it agreed, even unknowingly, and Constantine, a man already marked by damnation,
May find a way to invalidate that consent retroactively.
a loophole so massive that it would destabilize the entire afterlife. And if that happens, hell can't just punish him.
Because punishment only works inside the system.
Outside of it, Constantine becomes something else entirely.
A glitch, a variable, a mistake that shouldn't exist. This is where the sequel becomes darker than the first film ever was. Because breaking the rules of hell doesn't come without consequences.
Heaven can't intervene directly. Hell can't enforce its contracts. And the cosmic balance starts to fracture. Demons stop hunting Constantine not out of fear, but because touching him might nullify their own existence. And suddenly John isn't running anymore.
He's being avoided, watched, studied, not as a sinner, but as a threat to the architecture of the afterlife itself. And this is where the ending theory opens up. Because if Constantine really does succeed in breaking hell's rules,
the story doesn't end with salvation or damnation. It ends with something far worse.
a debt with no collector, a system without enforcement,
and a man who was never meant to stand outside heaven or hell, but now can't belong to either. And the real question isn't whether Constantine survives what's coming next.
It's whether the universe can survive John Constantine once the rules no longer apply, and the most unsettling part of this theory is what it implies about Constantine himself. Because once hell's rules are broken, John stops being a player in the game and becomes proof that the game was rigged from the start.
Every demon he's ever tricked, every angel that looked the other way,
every soul that slipped through the cracks suddenly points back to him as the origin of the flaw.
And that's when the sequel can take its darkest turn.
Hell doesn't want his soul anymore, because his soul no longer fits anywhere. It can't be owned, traded, or claimed, which means Constantine becomes the one thing hell has never dealt with before. A man without a destination. At the same time, heaven isn't celebrating either, because a human who can invalidate eternal contracts is just as dangerous to angels as he is to demons.
The balance was never about good winning. It was about control. And Constantine threatens that control by existing outside the system entirely. So instead of demons dragging him down, we could see angels trying to erase him quietly. Not kill him, but remove him from the equation. Wipe him out of history before his influence spreads. Because if one man can break the rules of hell, others might follow. And the afterlife was never designed to handle choice on that scale. This opens the door to a brutal, R-rated direction for Constantine 2. Not non-stop action, but psychological pressure.
Paranoia, isolation, John realizing that every side wants him gone for different reasons. Hell wants stability, heaven wants silence, and humanity has no idea that its entire spiritual structure is about to collapse. Constantine is left walking through a world where demons won't touch him, angels won't save him,
and every spell he casts pushes reality closer to something irreversible. And that's where the story can stop.
Or continue. Because the final implication isn't about hell dragging Constantine back.
It's about whether John decides to undo what he's started, restore the rules, accept damnation,
or let the system burn and walk away while heaven and hell scramble to survive without him.
And if Constantine really does break the rules of hell, the scariest question isn't what happens to his soul next.
It's what happens to the world when no one is left to enforce the consequences anymore. And if Constantine keeps pushing, the fallout becomes even darker. Because a universe without enforced damnation doesn't become free. It becomes unstable. Demons stop hunting souls and start hunting leverage.
Angels stop protecting humanity and start protecting order.
And suddenly Earth isn't a battleground. It's the last neutral zone left. The only place where rules still vaguely apply. Which puts Constantine right back at the center of it, or whether he wants to be there or not. What makes this terrifying is that John understands exactly what he's done. He didn't just bend the system.
He exposed it. Every contract, every possession.
Every miracle was never about morality. It was about maintaining a scoreboard.
And Constantine flipped the table. So now the pressure shifts inward. His cough returns. His visions get worse. Not because hell is coming for him, but because reality itself is rejecting the loophole he represents. The universe trying to correct an error it was never meant to acknowledge. This is where Constantine too can reveal its cruel twist.
Hell may offer him a deal again. Not for his soul, but for his silence.
Restore the rules, erase the loophole, let the afterlife go back to pretending it's fair.
And in return, John gets something he's never truly had. Peace. No more visions. No more demons. No more angels watching his every move. Just a quiet, empty life.
The kind of ending that sounds like mercy, but feels like erasure. That's the choice hanging over the final act.
Constantine can accept peace and let the world stay broken in secret. Or he can refuse, force heaven and hell to confront the truth, and doom himself to becoming a permanent anomaly.
Not damned, not saved, but hunted forever.
And if he chooses the second path, the story doesn't end with fire or salvation. It ends with Constantine lighting a cigarette, stepping into the shadows, and knowing that for the first time,
even hell has no idea what comes next, and the real ending doesn't explode. It tightens.
Because Constantine finally understands the one truth no angel or demon ever admitted.
The system only worked because humans believed it was inevitable.
Heaven ruled through hope, hell ruled through fear.
And both collapse the moment someone proves neither is absolute. Which means Constantine is no longer fighting monsters.
He's fighting belief itself. In the final stretch, we don't see a war, we see consequences. Possessed people waking up confused but alive.
Souls slipping through cracks with no destination. Exorcisms failing not because demons are stronger,
but because they no longer care. The balance is gone, and with it,
the motivation to play by old rules.
And John realizes something horrifying. He didn't save humanity. He orphaned it. That's when the angels return.
Not as saviors, but as auditors. Cold, distant, furious.
Not because Constantine sinned, but because he exposed them.
And for the first time, they say it out loud.
Hell and heaven were never about justice. They were about containment. And John Constantine is now a breach that cannot be sealed without rewriting reality itself. The final choice isn't a deal. It's a burden. Constantine can become the anchor.
The living rule that replaces the broken system.
Bound to earth, aging, bleeding, suffering, but keeping the afterlife from collapsing completely. Or he can walk away and let the universe tear itself apart slowly.
Invisibly, while people keep living normal lives.
Unaware that judgment no longer exists. The film ends not with an answer, but with an image. Constantine standing at a crossroads that isn't heaven or hell, just an empty road disappearing into darkness. He flips his lighter, hesitates, and instead of lighting a cigarette, he closes it, turns, and walks forward.
Because for the first time in his life, damnation isn't chasing him. It's waiting for him to decide what it even means anymore, and the last shot says everything without saying anything at all.
Constantine's silhouette fading into the distance as the world keeps turning like nothing changed. Sirens in the background, neon lights buzzing, people laughing in bars,
praying in churches, sinning, hoping, believing.
While somewhere beyond what they can see the rules are no longer written. Heaven is silent, hell is patient, and for the first time since the beginning of creation, the fate of every soul isn't being judged by angels or demons, but by a man who walked away from both, leaving one terrifying question hanging in the air. Not whether Constantine saved the world, but whether the world deserves to be saved without consequences anymore.